What's your soul purpose? It's what you came here to accomplish. It's also who you're meant to become so that you can make an impact by being yourself. We're all here to unlock our potential and create positive change in the world. Everything starts with you. One is not born into their purpose. One steps into their purpose. Were you born to do it? Let's find out together. Welcome to Born to Do It, a podcast about finding your soul purpose. What's your most authentic self? How can you channel it? How can you create positive change in the world by being yourself? It starts with your natal birth chart, but it's all about your actions. Your daily actions set the tone for the rest of your life. We have a very exciting guest today, a multidimensional artist, a Lightcode bearer, and a Galactic Artist, Michele, who's here to guide us onto our own path of unlocking our creativity and deepening our connection to our higher self. So let's start with the most simplest, most obvious question. What is art? When do we discover the concept of art? And when do we become more conscious of it?
For me, art, it just goes hand in hand with creativity. I give art lessons, and basically I created a space for young people to express themselves, because art is an expression of joy and creativity, and using color. Color is a healing, the vibration of blue, and different colors have different healing. It's like fine-tuning a guitar and being guided by my guidance and my guides and my higher self. Gave me the codes of what each color means. I haven't been taught any of this. Most of the stuff I go over at afterwards and go, oh, right, that's true. So it's been quite a journey for me, just working intuitively, I think what people call automatic writing. And that has been really interesting to then get the messages straight from my higher self, my guides. Yeah, but I mean, art to me is just about creativity. It's not art per se. I mean, you can create art by cooking. So for me, I never define art as a painting.
Art is the process of creating something new, of transforming through your own lens. And I love that you mentioned the colors. Do you think on some level children already have that awareness of what colors mean, even before they get to know what they actually mean?
It's really interesting though, because I often had, especially the younger kids, they come in and the first thing they do is they take all the colors and they mix them together. And that always, for me, was an indication that they needed more of that in their life. So they were so anxious to absorb the color. And what I used to always say, and I say to my clients or whatever, breathe the color in. So really, when you see a beautiful color like a rose, I mean, flowers are gorgeous to do. Have a look at that color and actually breathe the color in and bring it into almost like a meditative kind of feeling, because that will help you to attune. So most of my paintings, my healing paintings, are specific colors. And that's because it comes in on that specific vibrationally color that will help to correct, I hate the word heal. It's to correct a vibrationary lack in your system.
That's a great example of the playful spirit that children have when they put all the colors together. It's almost like intuitively they know they belong together. And it's very symbolic of the division we see in the world. We are picking on people because they're different instead of seeing us as the colors that belong together.
Yeah. It's just, I look at the world and I kind of think, oh goodness, you guys have got it so wrong. It's like we have been seen from all the different parts of the universe to come onto Earth to try and work together. And at times we're failing dismally, but I kind of feel like we are winning. So, I'm the eternal optimist, and I believe that I'm one of the souls who is committed to coming down to help people. So my sort of like, what's my payoff line type of thing? I was like, I'm here to activate your remembrance. So for me, I really want to help people to remember their soul lineage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And their ability to create.
Yeah.
Everyone
And
has the
art
ability
was
to
my
create.
starting point. Yeah. Art was my starting point. Art was how I always knew I had to paint. So I was born to two parents who were artists. My father was a potter, my mother was a painter and a sculptor and very creative. And so I always knew that I was going to go into the arts, in the artistic side. It's in your lineage to do that. You set your life up as a soul so that you will do the learning that you have sort of almost mapped out for you. I do a lot of my big paintings, my commission paintings are soul maps for clients. And the coding on that is for them on a subconscious level to stay more on their soul path. But anyway, getting off topic.
No, it's very on brand. Because the next question I have for you is all art source? And since we're all innately able to create, we're all connected to source at all times, and we've mentioned that in previous episodes that we lose that connection with source over time because of the programming that society is giving us, because on some level this version of life that we're experiencing is designed to disconnect us so that we can play by their rules and completely forget why we're here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we've lost the connection to stillness. And obviously with art, that really helps you to connect in with your inner voice, your inner wisdom, and your inner remembrance. So, the artistic side, whether it's gardening or being in a creative form, the whole outside world falls away. So I think we're being asked more and more to go into quietness. And a lot of people have misinterpreted that as in, oh, I must meditate. And we're so frenetic. We've created such a busy world, and we're so busy looking at what everybody else is doing. And I make it my business to obviously know what's going on, but I don't get sucked into it, because my guides have always said, bring it in now, right now, because then everything else falls away, and then it gets clear the next step to put in front of you. The next step forward on your journey will become so much clearer when you just bring it into the now, and then you don't start stressing and getting upset, and then you get overwhelmed and all other problems that start with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And art then doesn't become a form of escapism. It becomes something that you're consciously creating as part of your mission, as part of your daily steps.
When I create, I'm purposefully tapping into, or even if you think about it, if you're eating a meal and it's been created with love and intention to bring joy and happiness, and it'll carry that vibration. And everything that we touch, everything that we create, we have to be very mindful of that. And I think going forward, people are going to realize that that is being grown with intention, grown with love, grown with this high vibrational feeling, be more nutritious for us, and et cetera, et cetera. You can extrapolate that.
100%. And something that you said around feeling called to meditate a little bit more. I think we're all experiencing this need to be away from the noise, because we're realizing there's so much noise, but very few people are practicing the art of being in a state of awe, being in a state of awe of all that is around us. And that could be flowers, that could be bees, that could be the food that we're eating, the food that we're growing. And that is helping us connect to source.
Exactly. It's called to slow down. Everything needs to slow down. And it doesn't mean that you have to jump off and you're never on the internet, and you leave Instagram or all the social media, and you don't you have to go and sit on top of a hill and smoke something and connect in, because that's not the real world. Part of the plan is to work through comfort of having all this happening, at the same time. But it's also part of your learning to have the boundaries. Hey, this is getting too busy and I need
Hmm.
time to show off and reconnect into nature even more than usual. A lot of healers are feeling this call, and I use the word healer very because, a lot of activators, we singers. So it's not just about art per se, it's about your gifts, whatever your gifts are, how you bring them through. I think quietness and stillness makes it more purposeful. You have more insights into your purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's this quote that art without art is just eh. And that's, quite interesting to look at the world. If you think art can be just found in museums or in shops, or you can look at everything around you as a form of art and as a form of inspiration
Absolutely.
for you to create that art.
I just think life is just this amazing thing. Yes, we have our challenges, but it's how we ride it is going to
Hmm.
be the sort of idea. It's how we manage tidal wave. It's like going down a river, and if we surrender, right, but if we fight and struggle, usually we get stuck in the reeds and sink. So going through this journey of life, we've done it so many times, and us have not overcome some of the obstacles, and many of us are like star seeds and stuff like that, which are, you know, um, we've contracted specifically to do that, to awaken others. And many of us have had very massive journeys to get, and we've
Yep.
got many lifetimes that we've come through, and our lifetimes have not been very pleasant. And we carry that vibration through. And I think at this time, it's so important to do that so we can have a fabulous life on earth, because that is the point. I mean, can you imagine 5D and 6D and you can't taste food and you can't smell the beautiful roses and the
Hmm.
gorgeous smell of nature? I think it's such a privilege to be here on earth.
Absolutely. And I keep making that joke that artificial intelligence is already us. It's our brain. It's our capability to think as fast as the computers. If we're able to remove the trauma, remove all the distractions, remove our attachments to all the unhealthy habits and coping mechanisms. But if we were to completely automate this thinking process and just become machines, we would lose our hearts. So it's essential that
Well, that's
we
the
make time
thing.
for the
I
little
think
things.
I mean, I think, we really are here to experience what full joy is, what full pain is, what ecstasy is, all the things that we get to experience. It's a big task, and we contract to come down quite often. It's not something that you just do lightly, but it is a privilege. We're able to send back the codes of that to our higher selves in different dimensions so much quicker. Sometimes you get clients who really are struggling and they don't want to be here. And I kind of go, well, you might as well out this lifetime, because you're going to come back again.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
really, please try and overcome whatever your issues are. And I do believe a lot of it is mindset. We have this power within us to change our trajectory, to change everything around us if we want to.
I couldn't agree more. And I love that you said something around going against the stream where people are kind of experiencing tougher moments in life, challenges, loss, heartache, heartbreak, and they can't seem to go back with the flow, move with the flow. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes the waves kind of overtake us and push us under the ocean so that we remember that we're swimmers. We're not going to drown.
Yeah. So if we just surrender to experience it and know that, this too shall pass. Yeah, I think a lot of people hold on to stuff a lot, and I think that's just soul learning, and that's why I say everybody's got a journey to live, to live. We all leave the station at the same time, but some of us get a flat tire, and we get it, and we go on the 4x4
Hmm.
route, and we're not going on the motorway. It's just, yeah, it's having compassion, and then helping, if you can, if you're able, helping either clear trauma or bring light energy. yeah, and it's been my mission to raise my vibration so that I can help others to raise theirs. And I have made this my quest that people, if they just sit in front of the painting and they just absorb it's on the painting, that will raise their vibration. The intention was there when I did it as well, but I also believe that.
I love that you just mentioned your paintings, because that's the next part of the conversation. And that is a download I got when I was preparing the slides, is that the difference between the 3D art and the galactic art or multidimensional art is that 3D art is limited to the 3D world. So whatever you see, you can replicate it, or you get the inspiration from whatever is in front of you. Whereas the galactic art is kind of these downloads or these connections to the things that we cannot see or perceive with our senses, but we feel them, we know them, and they take us somewhere. They help us travel. It's like a portal that gets opened. So while you're engaging with the art, you can access the information, or you can access parts of yourself.
Subconscious portal with coding, and opportunity to move through into a high vibration, that portal.
Yes, 100%. And your role is as the person that organizes these trips, these field trips to people who are ready to unlock more of their potential or heal a part of themselves that, they don't even know it's hurting, but it's calling for them. Pay attention to me. Take a look here. Journal about this.
Absolutely. And if you have that painting up all the time, you will consciously keep being drawn to it. My first 7 paintings that I did in this style, when I got awakened, they had codes on top. And they gave me this list of paintings first: love and light, peace and serenity, and the list was 7 of them. And then they gave me the colors that needed to go with it, and then they said, okay, now paint those and do the coding on top. And I just followed what I was told. And then it evolved into, and now you can access into the Pleiadians, and these are the colors that we want you to use, because this is the vibrational healing will come from those colors specifically.
Yeah, so I've picked 3 of your paintings, and I would love to hear more about the connection you have with them, or the messages behind them, or something that you want to say to anyone that's watching this video or listening to this conversation that comes across it, because every message, every art that comes into our life comes at the right time. So there must be something, for people 100%. To discover. So the first portal is the portal to the divine feminine.
This painting is all about empowerment. So there's so many women on this planet, and I mean men too, but specifically one of my kind of real loves is empowering women. And when I painted this painting, I was working with Green Tara and all the fabulous divine goddesses that have overcome. Remember, they came down onto earth and lived lives and overcame their obstacles. And when you tap into their energy, their energetics help you to sort of overcome obstacles that you are facing. If you need more empowerment, you want to have strength, compassion. Kuan Yin is also in the part of this painting. On my website, you can go and have a look at the art, and then you'll read about what each painting has and what it channels and embodies. And the Divine Feminine is very special. I've even done an auric spray for the Divine Feminine and a scarf that you can wear from the artwork, because even the colors are deep purple and pinks and magenta, and that is all about the love vibration. But it's love of self. It's uplifting self, so that we see ourselves as goddesses who are able to withstand, say, criticism, that type, any kind of thing that is taking away from your goddess-like energy, and goddess doesn't mean to say that you're amazing and you're gorgeous or whatever. Some are like Kali. Kali, the goddess Kali, was strong and fearsome, and she licked the demons, or the blood of her demons. She is portrayed in the Eastern philosophy as being really like ferocious, and because she kicked her demons down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that energy that you tap into when you have a look at this painting, and you access this painting. And a lot of the coding on this painting is it's subtle, and you look at it and you kind of go like, I don't understand it. But there is a portal within this painting. And if you look at this painting enough with the intention of connecting in with the goddess energy, you will access it.
Yeah, and it's the divine feminine is the great protector. If you think about the divine feminine as the protector that protects the inner child, but also her children. And you can even compare it to Mother Nature. Mother Nature wants to protect its children. The divine feminine is that same energy that wants to be abundant, that wants to be protective, that wants to breathe life into things and protect that life. But what would be your advice to men tapping into their divine feminine? Because there's a divine masculine energy and divine feminine within all of us as well. And I think this is where we're kind of lacking some of that connection.
It's all about the balance of the masculine and feminine. I'm pulling in a lot more masculine energy in this lifetime, so there's a lot more forcefulness going forward and that type of stuff. But the vulnerability without losing your strength, that is the secret, So it's I think for men, probably tapping into the vulnerable side without thinking that you're weak. When I did do this painting, there was a big correction in my attitude towards being, and I've had things happen to me in this lifetime to help me become more vulnerable without seeing it as being just weak.
Yeah.
That softness, and it's not a vulnerability, it's a softness and a softening and a compassion without losing my strength, because women have been persecuted all through our lives, all through our previous. I mean, if you look at history, oh my God, it's like scary. The divine feminine has to rise up, but not in a masculine way. So I believe that men are still the protectors, the providers. I believe that is how they are in the true form, and the happiest form is when they're protecting and providing without dominating. And the woman is the soft and the nurturing, but she can only be that if she's totally in trust of knowing that she's protected and supported. So many of the women today are trying to be in the masculine and trying to, I can do exactly what a man does, and I can meet you equal. And we're not, we're different, but we connect one another and we balance one another so beautifully without having to compete.
Yeah, and vulnerability requires strength as well to show your emotions at the expense of, almost being able to be attacked a little bit more. But that's the only way that we can truly connect, to expose our vulnerabilities. And if we want to reach that point of being able to appreciate the world and one another, we need to have that vulnerability. We need to embrace our emotions. And it's not just women that are impacted. I think men have also been kind of demonized for having emotions when we have men don't cry.
Well, absolutely. We've had all these men don't cry, but the thing is, the pendulum has swung now too far. Whereas now we've got all these a lot of men that have been dominated by their moms, and they are not being encouraged to be that masculine in their masculine. So yeah, I see that a lot, and hopefully we'll all evolve at a good rate. I just hope women don't dominate totally, because that would be so sad.
I agree. And I think there's a lot to explore when you open the Divine Feminine portal. It's a huge portal for healing.
It's massive for men and for women, because we're all basically made up together. It's got to be balanced within each other. With each of us, we have to have the balance of the masculine and the feminine correctly.
Yeah, and learn to appreciate our differences, because that's exactly how we step into our element. But the second portal that we have is the portal to the Lemurian consciousness, which has a different energy than the first portal. And I'd love to hear more about your experience bringing this into the physical world.
Okay, so Lemurian, the Lemurian type of energy is all about the unity consciousness. So it's all about doing things together. The Lemurians were very much, I don't know if if you've ever seen birds flying in the sky in a formation, and if one drops down, they sort of manage to meld that bird up into and they keep them into, so the whole group will slow down to compensate, and then lift that bird so that they all fly together. And that is kind of the ethos of Lemuria and Lemurian consciousness, and very much based in Christ consciousness. So when I painted this painting, I was deeply connected into earth, because the Lemurians were they're very connected into the earth. So there's greens and golds and oranges, very creative. And the portal going within this will be expanding you into grounding, getting very much more grounded, very much more nature-based. And even the spray that when I channeled the emotional aspects of the essential oils that I created in the spray, in the auric spray, it's got cloves in it. It's a very grounding auric spray. It helps you just to ground into, but yeah, very much. And this painting specifically is really fascinating, because when I do the artwork behind, I use ink and droppers, and there's a picture of a woman in front, but it's really interesting. If you turn the painting upside down, it's a picture of a man. And that was totally spirit-based. There's no, I can't manipulate. I don't manipulate. My biggest thing is not controlling. It was one of my biggest lessons to learn when I painted, was to not try and control when I painted, because bringing coding in, you can't control it. It's got to be absolutely natural, and to allow the energy to flow when you drip the paint over the top, that's where the real coding is.
I love that. And I love that you said the word grounding, because we are grounding our connection with our higher selves, but we're also grounding our connection to one another, because in the spiritual realm, we're all connected. We're already connected, totally. And we're finding ourselves to that level of connection here in the physical world, because there's a lot of division, even among family members and friends. There's still that division where we're maybe more focused on the 3D world, and that's what creates that division. But when we open our hearts, when we open our souls to one another, the conversations, everything just shifts in a way that unites us without having to speak. It's almost like telepathy in some way.
Well, that's the thing, is it's that unity consciousness, which is I love you and I accept you no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I understand your differences. And that is what Christ in his energetic form is what he brings in, is that beautiful vibration of total oneness and love and loving everybody. And so, yeah, it's a fabulous painting. It's quite special, that one.
Yeah, and I would say this is a perfect portal for people that are ready to step into leadership and kind of be community leaders, because the ability to channel that Lemurian consciousness is only going to create more impactful, more supportive communities, because unity consciousness is about recognizing we're all one. And even if you're struggling to communicate something with someone, it's because there's that inner turmoil. But if you are a leader, or if you want to help through your leadership skills, you have the ability and the power to support people as they're fighting their own battles, inside battles.
Absolutely, and that compassionate, Christ compassion, and that consciousness of just being very understanding and stuff. But I mean, every single one of these paintings of mine, you can buy them online as a digital print. I mean, these paintings are huge. They're like 2 meters by 1 meter. Most of my paintings are really large. But if you have a print and you put it up, and you maybe even do it like an altar, and today I'm going to, for this week, I'm going to work on my grounding, and I put the altar up, and maybe you put some lovely grounding crystals like smoky quartz. So you can use some smoky quartz and any other grounding crystals, and you can build your little altar around that. So every time you look at the painting, you're understanding, this is my intention. This is what I want. I want to ground into this kind of energy. The paintings can be used in so many ways.
These are open portals. It's your intention that activates them in some way.
Absolutely, they're activators, but you need to want to activate. You know, you need to.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that you really do want, or your soul will be opening you into that, so that
Yes.
you won't understand why you're drawn to this, but you keep coming back to it.
And that takes us to our third portal, which is the Pleiadian Stardust, which to me is a very playful energy, but I'll let you guide us into this portal.
Okay, so the Pleiadian Stardust, basically the Pleiadians are the ones that have lived a life as close to Earth as, you know, as what they understand. They understand what it's like to live on Earth, and a lot of people say, oh, I'm Pleiadian. Well, yes, an aspect of you, and you will be pulling more Pleiadian energy. So I'm pulling a lot more Pleiadian energy into this lifetime because I shine, I want to talk about it, I'm bright, I'm happy, and that energetic vibration surrounds me all the time. So it's very much an uplifting kind of painting. It is tapping into a very uplifting, lighter energies. You know, we can't raise our vibration if we're sitting in the lower realms of heavy vibration and a lower vibration. So this painting specifically is here just to uplift and tap into the Pleiadian energy. And like I said, they're the ones who understand everything that we're going through. So they actually facilitate most of the light codes and energy that's coming into Earth because they know how to channel it through. And it comes through them. They're amazing energy to work with. Very blues. Even when I do my meditations, I'm always, you know, whenever I connect in with the Pleiadian energy, it's always like a light blue type of energetic vibration. And there's also a little bit of silver and you know, and obviously the white in the coding. But that fan in the middle, which you can see, that is definitely a portal. You know, it's a portal to go through. And I mean, I've written a book, and my guides asked me, they said to me, please, because I said, oh, what I did was I channeled for 6 years, I channeled information to raise my vibration. And then when I said, okay, I got the message, I've got to write the book, I've got to use the quotes and put the artworks. So it's Raise Your Vibe with Michele Courage, light encoded galactic messages and artworks. And you can imagine, I've done a lot of artworks, and I said, oh, what am I going to use as the cover? And it was instant Pleiadian energy. So the Pleiadian energy is the on the cover as well. I got told to use that for the book. And every channeled information and every code, well, I call them codes, but it's basically a vibrational message, was paired with an artwork. And I did all, because I was an ex-graphic designer, I used to be in advertising. I actually did all the artworks and everything because I wanted to make sure that the vibration of this book was so high that the only people that actually handled it were the printers. And I chose them really specifically. They were based in Auckland because obviously I'm based in New Zealand. I mean, you can get it printed through Amazon, so it is on Amazon. But yeah, it's just the messages around here, and each one has been put with, you know, with an artwork. And each artwork will also say, and then at the back is more about the paintings that are specific. So this one is the forgiveness and gratitude soul codes. So if you have that painting enough sitting next to your bed, the codes of forgiveness and gratitude start working on you and activating you and correcting something. So yeah, it's been a journey to have the courage, and I chuckle about that because my surname is Courage, and the universe has like a bit of a sixth sense of humor here, because, you know, for me to have courage to actually talk about this, because it took me a long time to say out loud and trust that this wasn't just me and my imagination. Which I've come to learn, imagination is a fabulous thing, because the imagination is exactly how we connect into the realms.
Yeah, and I can't tell you the amount of times I've heard believe in yourself. That was the message I kept receiving in the beginning of the journey because it was genuinely all happening internally. This shift from the 3D to the 4D to the 5D, unlocking the timelines, unlocking the gifts, receiving the downloads. And it's not even one awakening, it's been years of awakenings and years of learning to trust yourself with that guidance. But it's yours. It's literally guidance to you.
Totally, because when I asked my guides one time, I was really doubting, and I said to them, I wrote and I said, please just tell me who am I dealing with here, because for me, a lot of people channel different sort of guides and that kind of stuff, and the message came through. I specifically am working with my 12th dimensional highest self. So my highest self that has risen to the highest level, because we've got different levels of different beings of which we've sort of as we split. There's a Pleiadian self and a Lemurian self, but my highest being is a 12th dimensional being. And then I realized, like, if I'm channeling that 12th dimensional being, that being is never going to give me the wrong information.
Yeah.
And because I do automatic writing, it's very, very specific. It's not, it can't be my interpretation.
Yeah.
And that's what I do for my clients as well. So when clients want to do a soul alignment session, I channel, I get in touch with their higher self, and their higher self channels through me the next steps in their channeling, in their soul alignment. So
the ascension journey.
It's been, yes, exactly. So it's really it's been a really a fascinating journey, but the art is what kickstarted, what activated everything for me. And I still got art will be coming through. I haven't been painting for a while, but I've been busy with other stuff. But the paintings will probably kickstart again. The minute I want to explore more, like the Arcturians have been very insistent, they really want me to paint a painting. The Andromedan painting is definitely, I've just been activated into Lyran unicorn energy, and so there'll be an activation coming through that, and definitely a painting with codes to access into that. I've even had the Anunnaki, and that's obviously very sensitive. The Anunnaki, I don't know if you've heard about the Anunnaki. Our listeners may or may not know, but they have definitely traversed some interesting times, and they are also known for being sort of more, they were in a much lower vibration. They actually used humans at one point in time. They used them as their sort of workhorses and slaves and that kind of stuff. So as their penance, they've come back to try and sort of redeem themselves, put it that way. And so I have been contacted to do, when I say contacted, I've been channeled to ask to do the Anunnaki painting. But funny enough, the Anunnaki painting is going to be, or Anunnaki, however you want to say it, is going to have a coding in front of it. This is what they told me, that only some people can access, because of the fact that the energy that they brought in has to be taken in at a certain vibration so that it doesn't get used negatively, because obviously they had that learning, and that was their learning to get to that point, to evolve and ascend. So we'll see. I haven't created enough space though, and I got the message this weekend actually. I really need to create more space so that I've got the time, because I need way more stillness than I've got at the moment to actually go and do this. And I'm a lot more stiller than I ever was before, but I need even more, or even less contact with the outside world for periods of time, so that I can actually channel these codes back in and bring them in.
Is that protective shield where you become extremely sensitive, so anything can disturb the message. So you have to create that safe space. But it's
Yes,
very
yes.
interesting that you mention a lot of different kind of levels of consciousness and different races, so to speak, universal races, because the way that I see us going forward with the mass awakening, the ascension journey, and all of us kind of raising our collective consciousness is that we're here to learn from one another. We're not here to continue the years of prosecution and kind of chasing and hunting down and blaming people to be
The division.
the villains and the
Mm.
victims. We're here to learn from one another, and I keep being guided to this message. Even bullies have stories to tell, and when we talk
Absolutely.
about the levels of consciousness that are lower level, they still have experience that is valuable that we can learn from, as long as they're open to sharing it and using that experience not to create more oppression, but to kind of create the
Well, we
space for
all grow.
understanding.
Yeah, we all grow through our shitty experiences. So, and we either grow shittily or we grow in a better way, So we either get resentful and bitter and twisted about it, or
Mm,
we kind of like learn from it and then become
yeah.
a lot more compassionate. And so, yeah, I think Rise of the Divine Feminine is going to be huge, I believe. And it's not a feminine as in just woman, it's Rise of the
Yes.
Divine Feminine energy is
Hmm.
going to be huge.
Yeah, within oneself. And
Mm.
going back to the Pleiadian Stardust, who would you recommend this portal to? What kind of energy would would
Um,
someone be in
I
the mindset
I
of inviting?
I think it's a beautiful energy to start with. Number one, if you wanted to start with this type of work, it's a great sort of meditative type of painting. I also believe that it's for people that are struggling mentally to access happiness and joy and a lighter energy around them. I think the Pleiadian energy is the entry level one for people to really raise their vibration. The Pleiadian one is the go-to. It's my go-to. I just love it. It uplifts me every time.
It's very playful. That's the first word that came to mind when I saw it. This is very playful. It almost looks like a map. It almost looks like you're going on a quest,
It
and you're
is.
gonna
It's a
find some
star map.
treasures.
Yes, it's a star
Yeah.
map. It's basically like a soul map. My guides explained the sort of destiny points, almost like a star map. So we have destiny points in our lifetime where we've contracted and we've said, okay, fine, we really want to get to that point, and it's a destiny star kind of thing. But to go through it, it's like a vortex. We have to be slightly uncomfortable, and
Hmm.
there'll be a challenge to get through it. But if we have the courage and the bravery to get through it, we come out of it, number one, in a higher vibration, much more understanding. And then we have the opportunity to change our trajectory to another higher level of learning rather than staying stuck in the same sort of learning curve or circle, put it that
Repeating the
way.
same cycles. Yeah.
Yes, and I mean it's also one of the reasons why we have to try and stop child sort of like pornography and all that type of stuff, because then the children are born into that cycle where they need to try and break it before they can move
Hmm.
on to another level. So they'll
Yes.
come
Yeah.
back into the next lifetime doing that same pattern
Yeah.
until they can break out of it.
It's the corrupted code that needs to be removed from the system so that we don't keep onboarding
Exactly.
the same type of
Exactly,
experiences.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So souls don't have to keep reliving that to try and fix that.
Yeah. So, on the topic of multidimensional art, how would you explain that to somebody who's, kind of awakening to their spiritual gifts to understand there's more than just the 3D world and guiding them to the other side?
I personally think that asking someone to be a lot more open about an art piece and to understand that an art piece carries a vibrational energy. So there'll be some paintings you really resonate with, and others and that will more than likely be the energetics of the painter and the situation that the painter was in, especially when it's not or multi-dimensional art, or as in like not a flat painting, of a certain thing. But even those carry a vibration. I think be very aware of what you like and what so many people will jump on the same bandwagon and say, oh, I like that. And then the other person will say, I like that. And then that becomes like a famous painting. When I kind of feel words carry vibrational connections and they've lost the real intrinsic meaning of them. So paintings are the same. So be very aware and more open when you're looking at a painting to see how it makes you feel. Each person will see and receive different codes from different paintings. Being open to that, the fact that a painting can definitely change your vibrational, energetic form. Be aware of that and just be open towards it.
Yeah, and one of the messages I'm receiving right now is that when we go to the museums, we see these huge war paintings and we see this violence portrayed in the museums. And unfortunately, that is again designed to keep us at a lower level of consciousness, frequency, vibration, so that we leave that museum thinking, oh, we must protect our country. As if,
Exactly.
there is war going on still.
The artists, many of those artists were starving and they had to do those paintings. They weren't allowed to do the paintings that they really, truly wanted to.
Yes.
And the ones that every now and again you had one or two artists that said, screw you, I'm going to do what I want. Look at Jackson Pollock. He's my greatest inspiration because he just dripped paint. And, he was doing codes all over that. I think personally, some of the coding was probably a bit mixed up because he did struggle with addiction and struggle with that. So he probably went through highs and lows.
Yes.
And if I had to tune into each painting of his, I could probably figure out when he was in a good space and when he wasn't. So I think really be very aware of that. Revering paintings just because everybody says that those are the paintings that everybody should revere. Really see what's happening in your heart. If you love the little sunflower painting that your daughter painted, then understand that there's something there in her that was literally just pulling in so much light. And when kids paint, there's always joy and happiness, or most of the time there's joy and happiness in their paintings. They use lots of color and it's because they're channeling that inner joy, that inner happiness, that untainted vibration.
It's something that you mentioned around, the shifting of the energetic state. I think as the channelers, as the people that are open vessels for the messages to come through, our field can get hijacked, so we can get information from somewhere that is not the right source, especially if we're under the influence of alcohol, of drugs, even, a diet that is quite toxic. What you consume changes your vibration.
We have to be so aware. I mean, I have been obsessed with raising my vibration. So for me, I won't read the news. I'm not, totally oblivious to what's happening, but I won't sit on it and dwell on it. And if it keeps coming back, I'll cut the ties. I'll ask Archangel Michael to come in with his silver sword, and I literally cut all the energetic ties around me to stop me keep thinking and keep going back, because that energetic will have a tie and it'll keep dragging you back in. So using the tools that we have sort of access to keep our vibration really high, or go and do something that makes you happy. And sometimes we do need somebody to help us to clear, to help us energetically clear something. But again, be very aware of who you use and who you connect in with, because if their vibration isn't that high, it can affect you.
So the way that we talked about your art as a portal to healing, a portal to unity consciousness, a portal to be more playful, welcoming joy, would you say there are artists today, and maybe even in the past, that have created these portals to darkness that we should be mindful of?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of film at the moment that is doing that. Again, check in and see how it makes you feel. And unfortunately, there are some people that are in that vibration that makes them feel good. they don't even know it because, you know, they're
Yeah.
in that vibration. So it's feeding that vibrational energy. So, yeah, be very aware of what you're feeding, what you're listening to, the words behind songs. You know, there's some songs that I just know that are so uplifting and they're just beautiful, the beautiful. And then there are other songs that are really angry and aggressive. And I just, yeah, I'm very aware of what goes in. And if I'm watching something like that, I'm very aware of that. I watch it on another level, that it doesn't permeate
Take
in.
a step back almost.
Absolutely, you're kind of watching it through a screen, you know. And if I think about the film the next day, then I'm very aware of the fact that I need to cut my ties. And I normally, every time I have a shower, I will cut my ties. Or if I'm feeling like something's kind of just, if the thought that you're thinking is always kind of negative, understand that you've been, I won't say compromised, but it is compromised.
Yeah.
And you need to clear your aura, you need to clear your energetics, you need to go outside and ground, take your shoes off. Even if you go and lie flat on the ground, I often do that. I go lie flat on the ground and I ask the earth to please absorb all the negative energy out of me. And with that intention, that will help. I can't pass a big tree without hugging the hell out of a tree. Because, you know, trees are just the most amazing, majestic energies. There's plenty of ways to clear your energy, and also be very mindful of hanging out with the wrong kind of people. Wrong kind of people is the wrong word, but I explained it to my daughter when she was growing up. I said, how do you feel when you walk away from that person? She said, oh, Mom, she's always picking on me. I said, well, you know, you don't have to cut her out of your life. What you can do is just spend less time with her. How do you feel when you're with this person? She said, oh, you know what, I feel so happy and we always had such a lovely time and we chat so much. So spend more time with that person. It's simple. Yeah. It's a simple recipe.
It is simple, yeah. And what you said around being compromised with these negative thoughts or something that is repetitive, that is of negative connotation, that is not advancing your growth, because not everything that is negative is not advancing, or not all darkness is bad. But if something's kind of nagging at you, it's attacking you. That is a form of energetic attack that we don't talk about, 100%. That we should be mindful of. And when if it's attacking you, you need to kind of track it back to where it entered your life, so that you close the door, so that that door is closed forever.
For example, we have a road in front of us. It's a farm road, so a lot of motorcyclists use this farm road. And about 2-3 months ago, we had a major accident where a young guy got hit by a car here. And obviously I was on right here. It was just down the road from me. I went out there and I kept on thinking about it. And for the weeks afterwards, every time the thought came in, I cut the cord and I sent him love. And, you know, everybody in the situation, I sent them love, but I cut the cord and I said, I don't want to think about it anymore. Because what it does is it's trying to grab into you and pull you under into that kind of vibrational thinking. Oh, it could happen to me. I could be in a car accident, or gee whiz,
could have been my friend, could have been my family.
Exactly. You know, it could have been my daughter or my husband or whatever. And the fear kind of sits in you when I drive a car. Oh, God, I must be careful. Like, you know, he just got hit by a random car. It's that kind of stuff where we need to empty and cut off. And it's not spiritual bypassing like some people say. It's mindfully keeping your thoughts pure and high vibrational. Go and turn the music up loud to a song that you absolutely love, that you just can't not be happy about, to shift you out of that vibration.
Yes, moving the body is important, but what you also mentioned is send that person love, send that situation love, because love is the most transformational thing. And even if you got betrayed, even if you got backstabbed, even if someone intentionally hurt you, send them love, because only hurt people hurt people, and therefore they're struggling with something that they cannot rise from, but you can. So as the person that is higher, send them love to bring them to your level. Don't go to the lower level.
Totally. And I mean, often those people have contracted to come to you to give you that lesson. If you have someone that really triggers you, you have to have a look at why you're being triggered like that. Why are you reacting? Because it's your healing. It's not them. It's not about them. It's not their healing. It's not got anything to do with them and what they're doing to you. It's the vibration that you are holding, that you are susceptible to them.
Bring it back to you and take an action based on what you can do right now.
Exactly. What can you clear? What can you do? How can you change your mindset, attitude, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and embodying that Christ consciousness, because it is that ability to transform and transmute any situation.
There's so many energies that can help you with that. You can call on Kuan Yin energy, because she is the absolute goddess of compassion. So you can ask Kuan Yin if you're needing that strength and that absolute fuck off energy, excuse my language if anybody's upset about that. You can call on Kali. Kali has got this major energy that can basically just tell it to go, so embody that energy, bring her in, put an altar up for her, think about her, read more, because that's how I step into that kind of energy. If I'm wanting that kind of energy, I will go and read up about Kali, or I'll go and read up about Kuan Yin, and I'll watch videos of other people who've been talking about Kuan Yin, or music around it, and that you step into that vibrationally field, and that field will start mixing with yours and empty out the crappy energy and bring in the beautiful energy.
It's almost like these cords that you're cutting to the negative things, you're almost sending cords out to the other energies so that you can get some of their inspiration, because we're inspiring people, but we need it too.
Yeah, I want the juice from Kuan Yin, that beautiful energy that she's so strong, but she's so compassionate and so soft about it, or whatever energy that you want to embody.
Beautiful. So, being a galactic artist, how would you define it? How would you define your role description to somebody?
Oh, God, I have really struggled with that. I basically feel like I'm activating your remembrance through my art and my paintings and the codes that I bring in. So for me, any energy that I encounter, I could put into a painting to bring in that vibrational activation for others to access.
Co-creating with the universe was what came to mind, and I think that applies to any creative person, because they're open to receiving that inspiration and using it. But Galactic Artist just adds another level.
It does. I mean, it does. And I think more and more people are starting to become open towards it. But you can imagine when I first started doing this, what a closed mindset I even got from the healers and the people who were already on their journey. It was just so far, such a stretch. But I think it's definitely becoming more and more easy. There's so many more people that are much more open, and people that I never thought would ever reach these. I mean, I met a lady this weekend who literally is an older lady, and in 4 years, she is now channeling and doing whatever. And I mean, that is amazing.
Yes.
That awakening, that mass awakening that's happening now, is just incredible. Fabulous.
People are restoring their connection to their higher self, to the universe, to God, to their understanding of what their highest good means and what they can bring into the universe with their gifts. Everyone has unique gifts, and even looking after trees and farming, that is such an abundant way for you to embody your higher self and look after nature.
Totally. Yeah, and it's trusting those gifts and trusting your calling, and sort of being strong enough and having the courage to say, hey, I'm going to be a galactic artist. It takes courage. It takes a lot of guts to sort of go against the norm of, what kind of art do you do? Well, I'm an abstract artist. I take it further than that. There's a lot of things that are falling by the wayside because they're not the description that they used to be.
No, no. And that's the thing. We are limitless. Our consciousness, our potential, our souls, they're limitless. We are limited in the 3D world. But what we've forgotten is that we can create our own rules and we can create our own
Totally. Well,
labels.
I believe that a lot of us, and myself, I really believe that I'm anchoring in a new energy into the earth, a new way of living. And many of us are starting to anchor that in. So we're living that embodiment so that we anchor that vibration into the earth. So it becomes normal for others to slip into that. So when the younger generation comes through, they've got an upgraded system already. For them, it just becomes normal. Well, why wouldn't you be a galactic artist?
Yes.
You know, like why? What's so special about that? The fact that we had to fight through the vibrational energies to try and anchor that in, you know, but that's exactly what we signed up for.
Yes, and that is us being the cycle breakers that are defending our position. We're going to bring that change, because if we don't, if we choose not to make that transition, we're going to spend our time complaining. Oh, this world does not accept galactic artists. This world does not talk about spirituality. Well, let's start talking about spirituality. Let's call ourselves these things and let's normalize them, because that's how we bring the change.
Well, that's the thing. I think being much more vocal about it. But, you know, we're living in a time now where we can't afford to be vocal. I know I've had lifetimes where chopped off because I was a healer. I've been burnt at the stake. I've been hunted through in the woods. You know, we all have, if any of us are lucky enough to remember some of our lifetimes, we will know the persecution that has happened and that has made us into the fearful, scared of talking about it. Many of our throat chakras are closed or shut down because we remember, or part of our cells and DNA remember the persecution.
Yes, it's a traumatic imprint, and it's not from this lifetime, it's from previous lifetimes. And maybe it did manifest in this lifetime so that we can remember some of it, but
so we can clear it.
Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't to punish us. And that is the point where people need the assistance, because they think, why is this happening to me? Why did this happen to me? And that is the switch when you reclaim your power and you say, I remember, which is exactly what you're always, to help people on their remembrance journey, as he said. And I'm very mindful of the time. I'm absolutely loving our chat, because everything that we're talking about is exactly what I've been passionate about. And I think there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't have anyone to talk about these ideas. They're just awakening. They're just remembering. They're just discovering these resources, and they are excited, but they don't have anyone in their community to talk about. We've all been there at some point.
Yes. Totally.
And I think, podcasts like that, content like that, art like that is helping us find each other and start these.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I have had my podcast has been going for a while. It's called Raise Your Vibe with Michele, but I haven't done much with it for a little while. I've had like quite a hiatus away from it because we moved and But that podcast, even I go back to some of the messages because a lot of the messages are channeled. And that's the thing. The more we talk about this and the more we hear from others and their experiences, and, you know, the new season of my podcast will be about me actually embodying and how I navigate with the high vibration, and when the lower vibration sets in, how I navigate through that. And we need to hear from others and how they're doing it, because we learn that way.
Yeah, 100%. And we give ourselves this space for us to channel more of our potential, even if we're not aware of it while we're talking. We're constantly channeling these golden nuggets that we can come back to and listen to them. Because as you said, I go back to things I've written years ago, especially on my awakening journey. I went through every single poem and essay, and I was like, oh my God, these are clues. I was sending me clues from the past as my future
it's like
self.
This little soul map that you've been following, and it's so amazing.
It was magical.
You know? And if we can help fast track others, that they don't have to go through all the steps that we had. I mean, that's what we're kind of contracting to do, so that the next generation comes in and they just do it so much quicker. And you can see the new generation. I mean, my daughter is like an upgraded me. She doesn't get attached to people. She believes in herself. She's so way more far ahead than I was at her age. And that is just, it's so fabulous to see. It's heartbreaking because I kind of look at it and go, oh my God, it took me so long to break that chain or that cycle. And yet she's come in. But I also have to be understanding of the fact that we've done so much work. There's so many of us have done so much work. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It gives you a sense of peace, I would say. There's a little bit of that trigger, that inner child within you is like, oh, why didn't I get that? But it's also, I know that if I come back, it's going to be amazing because I wouldn't have to go through all these. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, we're living at the best time ever in this world. Statistically, you know, we are living at the best time ever over the many years that this planet has been. So it's going to be even better. My thoughts go out to people who are doing it tough and taking strain. Know that you can get through this. Your soul has a plan.
And I would say for all the creative people out there that are, you know, creating art, writing poems, recording movies, shooting things, and it's not going anywhere. Think of it as your training. Think of it as something that you're collecting, and that you'll find the clues in there as well from a future perspective.
Remember, you could easily be laying the foundation for your next lifetime.
That is also true. You don't know what kind of lifetime you came from as well. You might have had a very difficult lifetime, so now you get to be a little bit more relaxed. You may be putting a whole
new foundation in for the next lifetime, you know. So please, we don't all have to be famous. You know, my guides have always said to me, understand the ripple effect is huge. So you may not think that you are making a difference to what the extent that you want to, but the little person, you know, that you bumped into, that you said, hi, how are you? You're looking fantastic today. You shifted her vibration or his vibration. That little, beautiful little vibration ripples out into the world. Make no mistake, it's massive.
Because that fame that people glamorize is the fame in the 3D world, where people know you as the vessel, but they don't know your soul. But you are already famous in the spiritual realm for reconnecting lost souls back to themselves, back to source. Because some of these souls that are here, that are awakening, they've been hijacked to the dark side. And I mean that dark side that is oppressive, that isn't of growth. And by them awakening, they are not going to stay there in that prison where their souls are trapped. They're going to return to their proper home, whether that's, you know, closer to the Lemurian consciousness or
just a higher vibration. Yeah, they're going to be in a higher vibration. And that high vibration is the optimal, because what you are pushing out in your vibration, you will be attracting that beautiful, lovely, loving vibration back in. The more you work on raising your vibration, the more the most amazing stuff comes back for you.
I agree. And this is a great opportunity for us to look at your natal birth chart as a galactic artist and how it all connects. Because when I was putting together all the pieces, I thought, and I'm always fascinated by people's birth charts because everything connects. Even if you try to stay away from your life path, I don't think you could have. Maybe, you know, some people will never be able to unlock all of their potential, but they will always be guided back to that which they're here to do. It's fascinating when we start to normalize looking at all these resources that are here to help us understand who we are, because we get to communicate with one another. We get to welcome the new day with more understanding of what we can create, and what we can create has no limits, especially when we embrace that attitude towards life. Back to the natal birth chart, we have the 12 houses, the 12 signs, and of course there's a lot of meaning that you can add within your own interpretation, within your own understanding. This is kind of the mainstream version of this, but there's so many different interpretations. And I'm kind of using a more mainstream one because I want to help people bring the spirituality down to earth and take practical actions and be able to use this as soon as they find the information. But starting with your kind of life path number, and that's something that I don't think I asked you if you have a middle name, but I've taken the interpretation without a middle name.
I do. It's A, so it's Anne. Michele Anne Courage.
Anne Courage. Well, we're going to go with this one because that's going to change the life path. This is going to be creativity. 5. The middle name. So the surprise element is creativity, but that changes the number. That's okay. We're going to roll with the changes. So the first letter corresponds to the number 4, which is the home and the mind, which is the subconscious mind. So your kind of primary role is to dive deeper into your own subconscious mind in this lifetime and pull that information, pull the gifts and the talents and the understanding. The surprise element, which I thought was 0, but it's actually 5, it's creativity. So this is something that you have already mastered from your previous lifetime. So you're here to unlock that creativity and guide other people to reconnecting with their own creativity. And the last letter corresponds to the number 3, which is the path of communication. So the glue that holds it all together is you're here to inspire others through your authentic self-expression. So very much in alignment. And that takes us not to 7, but to 12 with 5, which is the path of communication. So the path of communication is the same as the last name, which is authentic self-expression and kind of guiding people forward through your own experiences in the world. So the math ain't quite mathing in the slides, but we're interpreting in real time. Naturally, with the natal birth chart, it's not just the signs, but it's also the houses. But the elements that you discover in your own natal birth chart are going to help you understand what kind of energy you naturally embody, so that if you, for example, are lacking some of the air, you can attract a life partner that has some of that air in their natal birth chart, so that you can be yin and yang, which is very useful for choosing a business partner, not just your life partner. We are all here to co-create with the universe, and when we're co-creating with the universe, the most practical way to do that is to understand that we are all made up of the same elements that everything else is made of, and these manifest within us as the earth signs, air signs, and water signs, and fire signs. As the earth signs are the people that act a lot more than others. They are just breaking it down into daily actions. The air signs are the speakers, the communicators, the idea generators. The water signs are the empaths of the world, and they just are able to get you. They are able to lead you. They are able to guide you to your healing much faster. And the fire signs, they might trigger you, but they're going to awaken something in you on a deeper level, because that's just their natural state of being. They're just always more connected than others to the spiritual realm by default, by their element. Within your sun sign, you have a Taurus, which is an earth sign in the first house. So that is the house of leadership. And a Taurus is a sign that grounds a lot of things. As I say, often the earth signs are the master manifestors. So you're able to ground things into the physical world and manifest, whether it's products, whether it's courses, whether it's activities. You're able to ground some of that thinking, that is your moon sign, into actions and create something that allows you to step into the leadership seat with the first house. And because you have Gemini in the second house is your moon sign is your existing identity, as I like to call it, your past lifetime identity. So you were able to grasp what it means to create the resources. You were able to grasp what it takes to be in that state of balance. So you have the ideas, you have the insights, and now you're able to ground them into things that others can engage with. When we look into the South Node and the North Node connection, your existing knowledge has to do with, again, an earth sign, which is between the 5th and the 6th house, between the creativity and self-growth. So your past identity, your existing identity, has to do with understanding what it takes to create, understanding what it takes to grow, and being able to channel that into the leadership role that you have in this lifetime to further guide other people, because you have already done the research, what it means to be a creative person, what it means to commit yourself to self-growth. So now you can guide other people. And because you have Pisces in the North Node, which is your current life path, which is kind of your soul's mission, with your soul identity, you're here to inspire others within a community, to build your own community, and to guide people towards spirituality, to help them rediscover themselves and rediscover where they belong in the earthly space. Where is their soul tribe? Where is their community? And how they can use their gifts. And it's quite interesting that your North Node and South Node are in between 2 houses, which is the first time I'm seeing that. But that's because your mission is perhaps a double mission. You're on a mission to guide people to both unlock their creativity and also unlock their ability to better themselves without feeling like it's a burden, but to understand that it's an honor to unlock more of your potential. And I think, but the more you explore the creativity and the right brain, you naturally grow as a human being, because you are kind of unlocking that intuitive side that allows you to move beyond the logic. And your role is to be the leader that guides forward on this awakening quest that many of us have been tasked in this lifetime. And we have the rising sign in Taurus, which is how you're going to communicate with the rest of the world. And Taurus, once again, it's a very earthly energy. So the best way to explain this, it's actions. You're a very action-oriented person, and the more you commit to these actions, the more you're in alignment with your higher self in this lifetime, because the Taurus energy is helping you be in your sun sign, which is Taurus. So the more you act every single day, break it down into achievable goals, the more you're going to be able to channel that leader that is able to self-express as well, and not just lead for the sake of look at me, but look at this way of being. You can have it too. You can find your own style too. You can build your own platform, build your own community. And finally, your love language, your Venus sign is in Aries in the 12th house, which is a representation of the people that you're going to form the deepest bonds in this lifetime are people that are also committed to spirituality, people that are also committed to their global mission, because we all have a choice in our lifetime to commit to our higher self and to choose to, follow the contract that we've agreed to do and do the work to rise to that level where we can be of service to the universe, not just to the earthly realm. And so the people that you're going to create these strongest bonds with across different aspects of your life are people that are also on the same journey of self-mastery. And that kind of supports your north node that is between the 11th and the 12th house. And to put it all together into perspective, your soul purpose is to be a nurturing role model, to be a spiritual teacher and guide others to find their spiritual gifts and soul tribe with your own gifts and soul tribe, because the path of leadership, especially the spiritual leadership, isn't necessarily to go into other people's spaces and tell them what's wrong, but to create a space of your own with people that are also on the same mission and show people a different example and offer them the space if they're ready to cross that bridge, while creating as many bridges as possible to help them move to the other side. As part of your existing identity, which is Path 5, is to inspire action and change and creativity. So help people unlock their gifts through your enhanced creativity and ability to transform knowledge into action. Since your moon sign is the air sign, which is the thinker, which is also the communicator, you're able to inspire that in other people to help them create their own solutions and find their own way to support their own communities. And lastly, the glue that holds it all together, you're here to channel your soul into resources for the world, because there's so much earthly energy. That leads me to believe that your manifesting abilities are to create these soul-led resources and to connect with soul-led people and co-create resources for a better, more united world. And from everything that you're doing, I would say that you're very much in alignment with your mission.
Thank you. Oh, well, I've been working hard at it. So, I do. I get course corrected quite quickly when I'm sort of like slightly, off.
Yeah, and I would say when we face the doubt is a normal experience that we're all facing. But when we have the people to support us, when we have the words of encouragement that we've saved on a note on our phone, it encourages us to keep going, because this is a solitary journey. The ascension. If we don't push ourselves to rise, nobody can push us. And it's a choice. It's a daily choice to keep going.
It is. It's and to keep learning. I see quite a few souls sort of get to a certain level and they sort of just go into a holding pattern. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think, actually, what, you could push past that.
Yes.
It's okay. It's not a judgment. It's just, it's not my path, I want to keep going, and keep pushing.
And it's hard-coded into you, because your previous lifetime was the self-growth journey. So it's encoded in you to keep growing as a human being in this lifetime. Yes. And maybe next lifetime you can just create and
Well, yeah, I mean, I am trying to, a lot of my guidance is to take it easier and to slow down, but it is so hard for me to do that, to slow the pace, put it that way. I got another message this weekend, you have to slow the pace, slow it down. And that is quite tough for me because I go at
Yes,
1,000,000 miles an hour.
I agree. And I think that's part of the earthly energy because I do have a lot of earthly energy as well. So we're able to manifest quite fast, and it's quite motivational for us to understand that we have the power to bring that change forward to other people. But it's essential that we preserve our mental health, our inner balance, and sometimes when we're
And
rushing,
the physical
and the
health,
physical.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, my physical health takes strain because I literally start vibrating too high, battling to control my heart rate and that type of thing because I really am that sensitive. So be mindful of that too.
Yeah. Any surprises with your nasal bird chart or?
I'm by no means an expert, but I've done quite a lot of work. I've done a lot of research on stuff, and I sort of know quite a few things. But I also trust my guidance, and I trust my guides, and I know that I'm basically on my path, pretty much. Every now and again, I sort of kind of go off a little bit, just through sheer excitement and exuberance, and creative, like exploration. But I'll very quickly get the intuitive nudge going, hey, while that's something that you can quite happily do, because I'm pretty lucky in this lifetime. I'm quite talented, and anything that I kind of put my mind to it, I kind of can I do quite well in. So it's been quite a journey to try and kind of curtail that and to find the correct path and to stay on the correct path, because I'll go down a path and go, oh my goodness, this is great, la, 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 and then halfway through going, I'm actually slightly off path here.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've found vision boards really help with me because I can envision and sit in the energy of what I want to create and where I want to be, and then just tune into that energy of that I'm already there and I'm actually doing that.
Yeah, and I would say because there's earthly energy in all three levels or kind of paths. Within your existing identity, there is more of the air energy, so more thinking. So if you find yourself into the thinker seat, shifted to the feeling seat, which is, I think, a challenge that many of us are facing, to allow ourselves to just sit with our feelings, because I think it is aligning you more with your sun sign, with your soul purpose, with your higher self in this lifetime. But because you have Aries as the glue that holds it together, your communication style, your passion, and as this initiation and this drive, that's not going to go anywhere. That's always going to be part of your identity, to be excited and to want to do all that. Yeah,
all the stuff when I can actually turn around and go, sure, you know what, slow down on that. You don't need to do that one. You don't need to do that one. Because people just dangle it in front of me, and then I go, oh my God, that looks like such a fabulous thing to do. I'm going to help you. I'll be with you. And then I kind of find myself down a path, and then I look at it and go, actually, that doesn't align with me. Why am I doing this? This is not, what I should be doing. But I'm lucky that I get course corrected, like I said, pretty quickly when I feel the imbalance.
This is something we talked about with Kate on the previous episode, which was sometimes the universe will kind of dangle a card in front of you and say, you can do this as well. Here's more. You can do it. We know you can do it. But do you want to sacrifice your health? Do you want to sacrifice your balance? We know you can do it, but the choice is yours. And that's kind of like a learning path.
It's staying focused. It's staying focused on your, like I was having a discussion with a friend today, and she said, well, do I really want to do this? And I said, well, you've got to understand it's going to take you on a timeline.
Yes.
And it's quite a long time. Are you prepared to sacrifice some of your time on this earth for that, in a timeline that would maybe slightly cause a diversion?
Yes. And sometimes we accept these side quests.
Well, sometimes they're great for us because we meet a different person or move into whatever. But I think, changing direction and doing things and committing to things, you really need to think about it. And again, we come back to having the space and the time to really think about the choices that we have, that we make in our lives, you know, the houses that we buy, the places that we want to live, the partners that we choose. It's very, very important because it shapes everything, you know. And then we have to kind of release it and still allow that freedom of expression and the freedom to be, to bump into these amazing people and souls that are contracted to be destiny points and
our true soul tribe.
Yeah,
because sometimes the system would send you what you think you want or need, and it would position it in a way that is perfect, and then the illusion is going to wear off, and you're going to find yourself in a contract, in a job that you don't like, or with a partner that you don't like, because the illusion has worn off. But that's a lesson in itself. You weren't able to spot the illusion, so you have a little bit more growth.
And then the joy is when you start realizing the pattern.
Yes.
And going, hey, actually, you know what? This has happened 2 or 3 times now.
I see you.
That I learned that lesson. I see you, and I see this is going to head out that way, same way, and actually I'm not up for it. So
yeah, and that's how you stay a couple of steps ahead of the system, because sometimes you know you're going to receive guidance and lessons from your ancestors, from your spirit team, and sometimes it's going to be the actual game of life, the matrix as we like to call it, because we're constantly accepting side quests in the physical world and in the spiritual world, and we're operating in different dimensions. That's how we play the game. That's how life goes.
It is, and it is a game. It is a kind of like my guides were saying, it's like a moving grid pattern, and every choice and everything and every person that we meet changes this grid pattern. So it's constantly moving and changing.
100%. It's a school because we can choose to learn, and that's when it becomes more exciting for us, because we unlock these additional abilities and knowledge and wisdom and guidance. And so the people that are not learning, the people that are not advancing, they don't have access to the same. They want the same benefits, but they cannot ever get to that point. But to end this beautiful conversation, one is not born into their purpose, one steps into their purpose. And your path is an example that it's your daily choices. It's you committing to that journey every single day and overcoming the doubts and overcoming the naysayers and overcoming yourself on some days, because you're going to be the one that says, oh, maybe we should skip today. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't do that. But you have created
going against the grain, I think, is like what's expected of you. You know, I was in advertising, and I was pretty good at the advertising, you know, stuff and whatever, and choosing early on to step out of that and become an artist, a full-time artist, took a huge step in trust, especially for somebody like a Taurus, because Taurus is not that easy.
Very practical as well.
Exactly. And we like safety, you know, we don't like a lot of change around us. So safety is for us always key. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage. So then I have quite a chuckle about my surname.
Yes, and you say that as a Taurus. I'm a Capricorn as well, and I was kind of like, I reached a breaking point earlier this year when I quit my job as well, and it was a job that I loved, but my soul was calling me, you have a mission, you have a calling, choose yourself. You know, you might disappoint some people, but are you willing to live with disappointing yourself for the rest of your life? And that was not
this is the thing.
It's a big question when the universe asks you, are you ready to disappoint yourself and sacrifice yourself? And when you answer no, I choose myself, that's when you flip the script. And your book, Raise Your Vibe, is a testament to that choice to choose yourself.
Thank you.
It is, absolutely.
It is. I'm very proud of the book, and I never did the whole publishing. I just self-published because I also trust that the right people who need to see it will see it. You know, I've worked quite a lot on working through the need for recognition and the need for it to be successful, and I'm so taken care of in this lifetime that it's releasing that and understanding that I just need to bring that into the world. It's just the anchoring the vibration into the world.
Absolutely. And your book is on brand with that. Raise your vibe, raise your vibrations. And I think there's something to be said about our names. because I think on some level we communicate with our parents before our souls are birthed into this world, into the vessel, that this is the name, or we choose our parents based on the name because my name means Stella, it means star, and that is my link to my star seed kind of origin, which is something that when I was little I didn't even like my name, and it's been a journey to falling in love with my name and understanding why that is my name and what it means. And I think everyone's name has meaning. Nothing is random.
Does. No, nothing is random. We've orchestrated it all to be aligned like that. So 100%. I think when you do numerology and stuff like that, you realize that it's all, I mean, I think everything adds up to an 11. And even my maiden name added up to an 11 as well. So I can't get away from the fact that this is a very spiritual lifetime.
Mm-hmm. It's a path that maybe you chose, maybe you were appointed to. I like to think that it's a little bit of both, that we volunteered to be here and do this, but also that we're being trusted all of this information that we're receiving
100%,
for others.
100%. We're here to anchor the new vibrational energy into the earth. So it's imperative that we listen and we try and do our best to remember as much as we can.
I love that. I've loved our conversation, Michele. I'm looking forward to reconnecting again. And what I would like to ask you is, what's your advice to someone who is on a creative path and they're just, discovering spirituality and they're facing these doubts that we mentioned? What would be your one advice?
My biggest thing would be really go inwards and just do what you feel is correct and work on your spirituality, connect your spiritual connection without the outside. So many people want to go and learn from other people and they want to go and train. I want to train under this and I want to train in this. And yes, while you do that, that's great. But ultimately, you need to work on your own vibrational connection rather than everybody else's, what's come before, because I believe much of the energy that we're working with is old energy. Tap into your unique vibrational message and healing ability. If you've trained in Reiki and you've trained in that and trained in this and trained in that, you will have your unique bag of tricks that comes to the party, whether it be painting or whatever. Don't be scared to break out. And, as an artist, you don't have to just stick to specific oils only or watercolor only. Mix it all up. Be creative. Drop some glitter on it. Don't stop kind of comparing myself to somebody else and looking at their work. That's our biggest thing. We self-criticize by getting other people's opinions. Just do your own thing. It doesn't matter. Who cares? If you think it's beautiful, and stop being so harsh on yourself. I find many of the people that I work with, they are so paralyzed by their self-criticism in life as well. Just let it go. It doesn't matter. You're just creating. If you just drop paint on the canvas and it goes all over the place and you slide it around and you drop some crystals on it and you drop some glitter on it and it gave you joy through the process of doing that, then you're halfway there already.
Yeah. And if it feels ready,
the journey
share it.
there. It's not about the end product. To me, the end product is not really important. It's about your journey through that, what you're creating, how you enjoyed it. Did it raise your vibration while you were doing it? Yes, do more of it.
Yeah, commit to the self-growth journey. The more you grow, the more you're going to channel more of that growth in whatever you do.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful point around authenticity. Don't be afraid to share your authentic offering because it's never been made before.
It's been such a journey for me. I'm 6 foot. I am built really large. I've got a large personality. I'm loud. I swear. And making peace with the fact that I paint differently. I am different. I alter the vibration when I walk into a room. it's understandable, just make peace with who you are and what you're doing in this world, and stop worrying about what other people think and how they're going to judge you. It's none of your business what other people think about you.
Are you happy with yourself? Are you proud of what you're doing? That's what matters.
Exactly. So, and yeah, to me, it's about authenticity and having the courage to be your true self and your true, stand in your truth.
Yeah. It takes courage to be yourself. And I think you have the perfect name to lead people towards
I get
courage.
reminded every single day, have courage. And there's so many people say, is that your real name? Or did you because some people I think you can buy a surname or do whatever. I was like, no, it's a real name. It comes from my husband's line of his lineage is from France and the Courage Brewery, and we've got a rooster as an emblem or whatever. But it's Dinkum. I got that. The universe has got a very funny sense of humor.
You were born to do it, Michele. That's just it.
I was born to do it.
Well, thank you for being part of Born to Do It, the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for creating such positive change into the world with your art, with your being.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And I look forward to meeting you somewhere in the universe, because our paths are bound to connect. Yes, I'm sure
absolutely.
of it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Totally.
What's on your New Year's resolution list as we're approaching the end of the year? What's one thing that you want to bring into the world next year?
Next year, I really want to create more. The property that we're on is a healing property. I've created a beautiful Metatron grid above the property, and creating a healing space that when people walk onto the property, they just feel more. And we have a cottage here that's right on this beautiful, big, massive river, and it's called Riverstones Retreat. And I want to concentrate that on facilitating more people coming to book the cottage who are looking for specific time out or healing, so riverstonesretreat.co.nz. For people who are looking for even creating their own little retreat, because I can help them with that, so they have time away, but maybe we do a cacao ceremony, maybe we do walk down to the river and a cleansing ritual, whatever they want to create, or an energy session, or even an art, we can do channeled art sessions as well. But to create that more of a healing space retreat away for people to get into the vibration of grounding and into the natural earth more.
Well, I'll link to that in the episode description, and I look forward to seeing what you birth into the world, what you channel into the world. So.
Google Michele Courage. There's not too many of us. MicheleCourage.com. There's not too many Michele Courages around the world. I think there's one in America. I have yet to meet her. Not related, though.
It's the name. It's the courage. We need to share our gifts with the world, and your gift is that of courage. So thank you for encouraging people on their journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful.
Fantastic.